just jump into that ending where the Straw Hats and Jewelry Bonnie not only arrive on Egghead Island, Dr. Vegapunk's personal laboratory, but they also come face to face with the good doctor as well. And obviously, I've been saying for a while now this needed to happen, so I'm finally glad it did. But in usual Oda fashion, there's always got to be some kind of a heel turn or some kind of a twist to how these reveals happen. And obviously, the thing everyone is going to talk about is the fact that Vegapunk is actually a woman. Which, don't get me wrong, is a great twist, but honestly, the biggest thing about this reveal to me is that she's so young, or at least on the surface appears to be so young. And while for me that doesn't play a factor in terms of intelligence, it does give an interesting perspective towards a lot of Vegapunk's inventions, like the Pacifista, the Seraphim, hell, even the roboticized animals Frankie encountered, and even Frankie's battle Frankie itself, when you pretty much look at what Frankie has done with Vegapunk's plans. Because when you get down to it, because when you look at all Vegapunk's inventions that we've seen at this point, when you get down to it, all these things are just glorified toys. Dangerous toys, mind you, but toys nonetheless. And because it's often said that inventions are a reflection of the inventor, we can very easily paint a picture of what kind of character Vegapunk is gonna be, and what her personality is gonna be like now that she's made her presence known to the crew. Which, from my viewpoint, just from pretty much knowing all that we've seen of Vegapunk's inventions, I'm definitely expecting a lot of deranged and eccentric interactions to occur. Like that's just from just the vibe that I've gotten from Vegapunk's inventions, and I think that's what we're gonna get with Vegapunk herself, now that she has revealed herself. The biggest question, though, is whether or not Vegapunk is gonna be the villain of this arc, and I don't know. Like, it would make sense, but at the same time, this setup feels like a little too obvious for that to be the case as well. Like, I don't know, like, Oda, let me put it this way, Oda's made it too obvious if Vegapunk is the villain, Oda has made it a little too obvious, and I don't think he would go the obvious route here. Now that just obviously leaves the question open of who the villain is, and honestly, I think that's where we're just gonna have to wait to see how this plays out. But I will say, I think we can expect at least Sword to be at least part of an antagonistic force after this chapter, because another thing that happens in this chapter is that we touch base with the whole Kobe situation, where we get introduced to even more members of Sword, and I feel like that whole moment is setting up for Sword and the Straw Hats to come to blows, because it is mentions they don't know what happened to Drake. So the moment they do learn that he died on Wano, it could create the necessary circumstances for them to fight. But again, going back to my previous point, I don't know if they're going to be a long-term antagonist of this arc either, because depending on how Oda plays this, he can only feasibly have a misunderstanding why that go on for so long. And in general, I will say, I'm getting a lot of Punk Hazard vibes from this arc already, just from the setup of the chapter, but at the same time, it already feels like it has stronger structural legs compared to Punk Hazard, so it's like, I think Sword is going to be an antagonistic force, but only for so long, but I think only for so long until the real antagonist is revealed, whether that's Vegapunk or someone else. Now, obviously, the big question is, what is Jewelry Bonnie doing here? Practically so close to Vegapunk's laboratory, and just what was she doing at Vegapunk's front door to begin with? Because last we saw her, Bonnie had infiltrated Marie Joie, and up to this point in the story, she seems to have taken a particular interest in Kuma. So I feel, if nothing else, this arc is going to start addressing what that connection is, and why Bonnie feels so invested in Kuma as well. Because on one hand, I have felt that might have might be somewhat connected to revolutionaries, but at this point, I think it's a little less obvious than that as well. Almost making me wonder that Bonnie has a shared past with Kuma that explains the reason why he's known as the Tyrant. But either way, I think we do need an explanation behind that connection. And with Vegapunk again, that revealed to us, I feel that's what we are going to get. But aside from that, I also like how Bonnie's just so casual about the fact that her crew is more than likely dead. With her just like flat out saying, "Yeah, my crew's dead. My crew, my ship got destroyed, and my crew's possibly dead." I like just how casual she was about that. And yeah, again, I feel like this is another chapter where Oda's just kind of spoiling us with the character dynamics. Because just the way the Straw Hats worked off each other to like save Luffy and Chopper and Bonnie were great, but also shows just how adding Jinbei to the crew's dynamic really helps the urgency of situations. But just just the fact that Jinbei's a fisherman, I think really allows Oda a lot more freedom to add more sea-based combat to the Straw Hats dynamic as well, and it's something I definitely want to see more of. Like just adding Jinbei to the dynamics of the crew, it really adds a whole lot for me. Of course, with Bonnie being added to the roster of people the Straw Hats are probably going to ally with for this arc, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how she and Luffy interact, because when you get down to it, Bonnie and Luffy are practically pretty much the same person. They're both huge gluttons, with the only thing that very loosely separates them but by a thread is that Bonnie arguably has more of a brash temperament than Luffy, but they're both brash regardless. So like just having these two very similar personalities like clash with each other, and just the idea of having these two sharing like the same space together is going to create some wonderfully and hilariously chaotic situations that I can't wait to see how Oda plays this. Like, again, just the idea of Luffy and Bonnie in the same room together, like, I don't know, something about that just screams like this is going to be fucking amazing. Like, yeah, I really can't wait to see how this plays out, because I'm just imagining it all in my head, and for some reason it just all works for me. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Analyst Crunchyroll. Be sure to notification bell, the subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight of Night signing off. Later, everyone.